President Biden's 2024 campaign performed an impressive act of political aikido by weaponizing the words of Marjorie Taylor Greene into a sterling endorsement of Dark Brandon. Intrigued? Then click that like, subscribe, and the alert bell, and maybe check out my Patreon, and enjoy the video. So we recently did a video where during a Turning Point USA 2023 conference, which I've said is basically Woodstock for fascists, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the keynote speakers, and she attempted to demonize President Biden during her speech. But she took an unusual approach in so doing. She didn't insult his energy or his age or anything. She compared him and his political accomplishments to those of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and President Lyndon Baines Johnson, who were two of the most wildly successful, legislatively and executively, presidents in the history of this country, particularly modern history, especially in terms of their domestic programs and their domestic laws. So, obviously FDR came up with Social Security and the New Deal, which revitalized the economy. It was extraordinary, got us out of the Great Depression and basically set the stage for the modern economy as we know it. LBJ tried to continue on with his Great Society programs and came up with Medicaid and Medicare and the Civil Rights Act, things like that. So just extraordinary legislative accomplishments. And Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare are wildly popular with people of all political persuasions in this country, especially if they benefit from them, right? So it was a weird approach. And I remember saying at the time when I covered it in the video, she basically just gave unintentionally an enthusiastic endorsement of President Biden. It'd be funny if it ended up in a campaign ad, and it did. So let's watch the ad and see how Dark Brandon and his campaign shrewdly, effectively weaponized Marjorie Taylor Greene's words without selective editing. This isn't AI generated. These are her words verbatim and her intonations, not somebody else reading them. These are her words, a recording of her saying them. She's even included in the visuals. But see what some different visuals spliced in and some different music. See how it wildly alters the intent of what she was trying to get across. Awesome ad. Let's take a look.
Biden had the largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete. Programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, labor unions. And he still is working on it.
That was an epic advertisement, folks. It was awesome. Probably the best one that President Biden has come up with. And it's earning plaudits all over Twitter. Not that that's like, the most effective benchmark, but even other conservatives. I've seen like conservative political streamers who are really critical of Democrats and the Biden administration even applaud him for that one. Like, well done, Joe. But again, everything she said is true. President Biden's domestic legislative agenda is the most ambitious and most effective since LBJ, who in turn was the most effective since FDR. President Biden is trying to take steps to strengthen Social Security and Medicaid. He is trying to address the environment and climate change in terms of like jobs. I mean, more than 13 million jobs created on his watch. Domestic manufacturing, nearly 1 million jobs have been added since the passing of the infrastructure law and the CHIPS Act. I mean, extraordinary achievements that were very often bipartisan, but very often hyperpartisan as well, that Biden had to push through because the obstructionist Republican Party was attempting to thwart him every step of the way. This is an incredibly effective advertisement and further proof that, again, not to say that elections aren't up in the air, not to say that President Biden doesn't have political weaknesses, because he does, but in terms of accomplishments, in terms of things he's actually done for the American people, no Republican can compete with him, certainly not Donald Trump.